Tuck's Takes.
All right, let's start with Justin Fields struggling late with the Bears losing to the Atlanta Falcons 27-24.
He was kind of up and down. Some of the things that stood out to me about this game, Cordero Patterson. Special teams were a major factor yesterday. I was going to do themes before I thought, you know what? I want the listeners to know why the show is being posted late. And I want the listeners to get the mental image of me running and putting my thumb out. Probably shouldn't have been trying to hitchhike, but I did, to try to get to the airport in time. And every once in a while, as like Tom McCarthy would call me and I would talk, and people's heads would snap around because they recognized my voice, maybe. It was just funny, really. I mean, it was miserable at the time, but it's funny. So anyway, special teams, huge factor in all of the games. Justin Fields was a mixed bag, I thought. He had some tremendous plays, running around, making plays, but he also had some errant throws, including high to David Montgomery for that final interception. Plus, now he's all beat up with hamstring and shoulder injuries. Atlanta has their own injury issues with Kyle Pitts being hurt. But Cordero Patterson's kick return really was the difference in the game.
The Ravens scored 10 points late in the fourth quarter to secure a 13-3 victory against Panthers.
That was a wild game in the sense that nobody could score. I mean, I give a lot of credit to the Panthers defense. Brian Burns and those guys, they made it so that the Ravens were not able to move the ball. Ravens not able to score. Really, I mean, the thing that helped them the most was late in the game, Marcus Peters stripped Shi Smith. That was significant. And then Marlon Humphrey gets the interception. Otherwise, it felt like a fairly even game, I guess. Demarcus Robinson did step up at receiver for the Ravens. It was a win for the Ravens, but definitely, as they would say, an ugly win.
The Bills don't skip a beat in Detroit, defeating the Browns 31-23.
Jack, I heard that. It's not Detroit. You know why you think that?
Why is that?
You're a big NBA guy, aren't you?
Yes.
They call it Detroit basketball. Like Detroit basketball. But I've talked with a lot of people about this. It's Detroit.
I'll change it starting when we get to the Lions later today.
All right. It's Detroit. You can say Detroit. I don't care. It makes it funny. But it is Detroit because I had several people reply. Plus, the most important thing to them is that the emphasis on the second syllable, like Detroit, not Detroit. You know what I mean? Detroit. Whether you say Detroit or Detroit, it's Detroit. That is where the emphasis should be placed. The Bills, by the way, didn't get out to a very good start. I mean, they let Amari Cooper score. Bills couldn't run the ball, couldn't move the ball early in the game. But then after that, they took over. Bills defense played much better the rest of the game after that. And how about the Bills running game? James Cook, Devin Singletary. I don't know how much of that is like, hey, terrific job by the Bills running the football, or how much of it's like, you've got to be kidding me, Cleveland Browns. Like, you've got to be kidding me that you even let the Bills of all teams run all over you.
Left hands up as the Commanders improved to 6-5 with a 23-10 win over the Texans.
The left hand up thing is so hilarious. I just don't even get it. Left hand up. It's so funny. The Commanders are in a good spot now, Jack, where they're like, you almost expect them to win. They come out. It's not going to be flashy for the most part. Heineke's numbers weren't great. They ran it pretty effectively with Gibson and Robinson, but it's still only like 4 yards a carry or whatever. But their defense, Payne, Allen, Sweat, they don't let people – I mean, the Texans couldn't run the ball at all. They were getting all kinds of pressure on Davis Mills, who had a couple interceptions. All of a sudden, I feel like the Commanders – Ron Rivera can flat out coach. There's no question.
The Eagles struggled without Dallas Goedert, but managed to beat the Colts 17-16.
They certainly did. the Colts marched right down the field on their first drive with Matt Ryan hitting Michael Pittman for a big gain. The rest of it was just Jonathan Taylor. And I remember watching it thinking, wow, the Eagles still haven't fixed their problem. The Eagles still haven't corrected the issue with the run defense. I would say, though, that after that, the new guys, Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph played very well. The Eagles defense in general played really well after that. After the first drive, Jonathan Taylor hardly ran the ball at all, and the Eagles ended up holding the Colts to 3 field goals. But they were still down 10 in the fourth quarter. It was still 13-3. And you feel like this is a game that the Eagles can really build on because they marched for a touchdown. Thank you. They marched for a touchdown with Hurts' legs, and then he hit Quez Watkins for a touchdown. But even after that, it's 13-10. Credit the Colts for moving the ball and at least getting a field goal so that the Eagles had to score a touchdown, but that they did. And it was mainly Jalen Hurts' legs, on these third and fourth. It's just such an advantage. You watch like Matt Ryan in that game compared to Hurts, being able to run the ball like Hurts did was gigantic. Brandon Graham got a late sack to help seal it for the Eagles, and it was not pretty, but man, gutsy win for the Birds to come from behind in that game. I think the Colts have a pretty good formula. They stopped the run of the Eagles for the most part, other than Hurts, and they ran it pretty effectively initially, but they just, Ryman at left tackle, Fries at right guard, those guys had some penalties. Not good.
New England records the first punt return touchdown of the season in the closing seconds to miraculously beat the Jets 10-3.
Unbelievable. Well, first of all, big loss for New England. Number one, not having Christian Barmore, their young D tackle, who they put on IR with knee inflammation, but then also losing both David Andrews, and it sounds like he's got a bad quad injury. He's going to be out for a while, and Isaiah Wynn during the game. Both quarterbacks really struggled. There was not a lot of offense in this game. Matthew Judon had a big day for the Patriots. I would say almost his counterpart, Quinnen Williams, had a big day for the Jets. The two things that jump out, obviously the Marcus Jones punt return touchdown. And this is why, one of the reasons why I do college games, because I did a Houston Cougar game last year at UConn. And Marcus Jones should have been up for the Heisman last year. He led the country in interceptions and kickoff and punt return touchdowns and was just a phenomenal player. He was the most outstanding player you could argue in college football last year. Terrific draft pick by the Patriots. I'm surprised he didn't go higher because he fills two really important needs, returner and nickelback. The only other thing I want to say about this game is, the conversation around what Zach Wilson said after the game. I think he was asked if he felt like, the offense let down the defense. The answer, of course, is yes. Yes, we did. And I take full responsibility for that. But I think that Zach Wilson's already kind of so beat down and insecure about his role and his status that it makes him defensive, right? He thinks if he admits weakness, if you're really confident in life, you admit when you make mistakes. You admit when you don't know something. You admit when you're wrong. When you're not confident, you don't admit those things, which is why I think the concern is if you're a Jets fan or Jets management, Zach Wilson saying no, not at all, and whether or not they felt like they let down the defense shows me that he's probably not really that confident. I am confident that you guys will really enjoy Let's Go, a Sirius XM podcast with Tom Brady, Larry Fitzgerald, and Emmy award-winning journalist Jim Gray, where you can hear championship perspective on the trending topics on and off the field. Get expert analysis on the latest NFL action from the 5-time Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady, 11-time Pro Bowler Larry Fitzgerald. They're both at the mic. They're unfiltered. If it's on their mind, it's on Let's Go. Plus, they got awesome guests all season long. Snoop, Oprah. Listen to Let's Go with Tom Brady, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jim Gray every Monday night through the 2022-2023 football season on Stitcher, Pandora, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Rams lose on the road to New Orleans 27-20, falling to 3-7, are now half a game away from the worst record in the NFC.
Kind of unbelievable, isn't it? Cam Jordan missed his first game with an injury. He's got like an orbital fracture, so he might miss several games. That's kind of scary. The Rams were hanging in there until Stafford got hurt. Stafford got hurt. That was kind of it. And what happened to the Rams defense? I mean, they're not that banged up on defense. They still have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill and the Saints kind of torched them. I mean, lit them up in this game, which I thought was surprising and interesting that they were able to do that. I guess the decision to stick with Andy Dalton was good for at least one more week.
Detroit rushes for 4 touchdowns in a 31-18 beatdown of the New York Giants.
That was crazy. I mean, first of all, arguably the worst game of the year for Daniel Jones. I mean, he was not good, multiple interceptions, but they couldn't run the ball at all with Saquon. I mean, the only time they felt like they moved the ball was when Daniel Jones was moving the ball, from what I saw, as Saquon Barkley wasn't able to get anything done. Meanwhile, they got run over by the Lions. Jamal Williams and the Lions pounded them. Jamal Williams had 3 touchdowns. To make matters even worse, Wan'Dale Robinson got hurt for the Giants, torn ACL, the rookie receiver, second-round pick. He's done for the year. You know, the Giants lost kind of at their own game. They like to be the more physical team, run the ball more, and Detroit was more physical both sides of the ball.
Devontae Adams gets the walk-off touchdown for the Raiders in their 22-16 overtime victory against the Broncos.
So, Clint Kubiak took over the play calling for the Broncos, which is good because it felt like Russell Wilson had a better game. I mean, it felt like Russell Wilson was able to, do a lot of really positive things. I mean, you look at completion percentage, whatever, but then late in the game, he throws that incompletion to stop the clock. Like, Russell, you cannot do that. Meanwhile, for the Raiders, they needed their stars to step up. That's exactly what happened. Devontae Adams, it's crazy how open he was in overtime, but he stepped up time and again, as did Max Crosby. They needed those guys, and they got it done.
The Cowboys pummeled the Minnesota Vikings in a 40-3 blowout.
Boy, you can say that again. Holy cow. I mean, I think I tweeted in the third quarter that the Vikings needed to get Kirk Cousins out of the game. He was getting hit so hard and so often by all of the Cowboys. They were all taking turns. Fowler and Lawrence, of course, Micah Parsons was all over him. This was an epic beatdown. Both sides of the ball. The Cowboys have a star in Tony Pollard, and I think they're finally realizing he's like a star football player, that they need to get the ball in his hands even more. He's a playmaker. They pound him with the run game. Dak played well. Zeke was good for short yardage goal line. Zeke is the highest paid short yardage goal line back in NFL history. And other than that, I don't know what else there is to say. Just a one-sided game.
The Bengals with a 37-30 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers in an AFC North battle.
I guess I'm just surprised the Bengals scored that many points. That's a little bit stunning to me. I was not expecting that. Minkah Fitzpatrick was back. TJ Watt played. TJ Watt actually had a really good interception. Incredibly athletic play. I thought Pickett was up and down. There's flashes of brilliance from Pickett, But then there's also some throws that are a little bit of a head scratcher when he misses throws. But that Pickett to Pickens connection is pretty darn impressive. I mean, George Pickens already is a really good player in this league, but not enough. Pickett, Pickens, doesn't matter. Pickett, Pickens, Pittsburgh, Samaje Perine? Are you kidding me? 3 receiving touchdowns for Samaje Perine? Was not expecting that, but I was expecting that delicious flavor every time I have a Labatt Blue Light. I can't tell you. Hopefully, you guys follow me on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/Ross Tucker NFL. I hope you guys follow me because we had Tuckheads, people that are patrons, patreon.com/RT Media, sending me pictures of measuring the snow in Buffalo in Labatt Blue Light cans. It was incredible. I loved it. You guys are awesome. Steven Soroka, my boy, that was amazing. Terrific idea. There is no better way to watch your team, whether it's the Bills or any team, on game day than with the pristine Canadian goodness of a cold Labatt Blue Light in your hand. Stock up. Be the MVP of your tailgate and share a Labatt on game day with your crew. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
The Chargers give Patrick Mahomes too much time as he scores a 30-27 win for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Man, I like my job, Jack. I really do. That game was fun. The environment was fun. Felt like almost 50-50 Chiefs-Chargers fans, but it was an electric atmosphere. Both those quarterbacks are really good. But I think I tweeted this. It just feels like I've seen that movie so many times where the Chargers finally break through and make the critical play to get the lead, but they leave too much time. And then Mahomes does what Mahomes does. I thought it was unacceptable that Brandon Staley just thought Derwin James man-to-man coverage on Travis Kelce as much as he did. You cannot let them beat you with their best player, and Brandon Staley did. I put that on him. I will say a couple of things. Travis Kelce, 3 more touchdowns, 11 on the year. Incredible. Mahomes is awesome. Herbert is amazing. Like, that is high-level quarterback play, watching those guys go. I thought Eckler and Pacheco were good. Not a lot of great defense being played in that one, if we're being honest. I mean, there were some good plays by like Bolton and Reeder and some of these guys on both sides, but for the most part, the offenses were able to move the ball pretty darn effectively. Speaking of effective, Jack, the food was amazing. Hawaiian pork ribs, huli chicken, fried rice. Then they had all of these like Skittles and Hershey bars and Twix and all of these side options. It was glorious. Even chicken Caesar wraps. It was very, very impressive.